All right, let's talk about assignment number 13, part 1, assignment number 13, part 2, and then assignment number 14, part 1, assignment number 14, part 2. These are all interrelated. Every assignment really this semester is interrelated because we start with a rhetorical analysis to understand the moves that professional and published writers make in order to achieve a goal with their audience. You then take those things that you learned by breaking apart some published professional piece of writing to be more aware and metacognitive about the moves that writers make and the moves that you make as a writer as we transition into argumentative research writing. How can you structure and use some of the rhetorical moves that you learned from the rhetorical analysis to write a convincing, persuasive, argumentative research essay? Using the research, the credible research that you compile and integrate into your writing in order to persuade your audience. Now, audience is the key word because then as we move on to the multimodal project, you are then thinking rhetorically about, if I really was invested in this topic beyond the four walls of this English class, how could I expand my audience to be as persuasive outside of those four walls, out in the world, to change as many minds about my argumentative stance as possible? And so you've already made a proposal. Now you have, for assignment number 13, part 1, the draft. And just like you had to turn in a full rhetorical analysis draft, a full argumentative research essay draft, you're going to have to turn in a full multimodal project draft, which means you're going to have to actually create the texts. So if you look at the examples that I provide, it could be a t-shirt design, it could be a reel or some type of video that you would get out there on social media somehow. It could be a poster, it could be a podcast that you create, any of those things, but it has to be created. Why? Because you already did the proposal. The proposal is, what will I do? You've done that. So if you submit another, this is what I plan to do, it's going to be a 0 because you've already done that. That was the proposal. Now you're going to create the draft, so you have to have the pieces created. Why is that actually in your favor? Because then the feedback that I provide will be good and meaningful because it will be based on actual text that you've tried to create or created completely. But also, let's say you do a really good job and I have no notes. You now have assignment number 14, part 1 done. So assignment 13, part 1 is 25 points. If you turn in all 5 pieces created, you will get the 25 points, even if I have comments to make on them, which is the same thing that happened with your rhetorical analysis draft and your argumentative research essay. So it's participation and cooperation. So you did it, it's your work, you turned it in. Even if there are things that need to be fixed, you're still getting credit because it's all about the process. If you do a really good job on those 5 texts, you might be done, because the comments that I might make might be, no notes, you did a really good job, great. So then you have assignment number 14, part 1 finished, which is worth 100 points. What's assignment 13, part 2? The rationale. You can't do the rationale until you make the texts, because the rationale is, if you look at the assignment, explain all the choices you made when developing each of your multimodal texts, multimedia texts. So if you haven't created them yet, you can't do the rationale. So then assignment 14, part 2 is your course reflection. So here we are at the very end of the semester, and you have the opportunity to maximize a lot of points that you have still remaining. So keep that in mind. Everything has been building one assignment to the next. You need a complete draft. You need to create all 5 of your multimodal texts for the project. Write the rationale after you've put all those pieces together so you can reflect on the process you went through, all the choices you made. And then you also could start thinking about the course reflection and reflecting on your work this semester. One caveat that I would like to make is that there are times where people use AI to write their course reflection. It's really meant to be your own personal reflection on your work in the class, and outsourcing that to AI is exactly why no AI is allowed in this course, because you are supposed to be thinking about your own growth as a writer. And if you outsource that to AI, you're really sidestepping one of the necessary requirements and one of the reflective pieces of the class. Just like using AI on any of the parts of this course is really sidestepping the requirements, which is you developing as a writer, you developing a voice as a writer, which is your own unique stamp on your communication, either orally or written, or in terms of multimodal and different modes. So you are the one who is creating, you're putting the care and effort and conscious decisions into the way you're crafting the messages in this course. And really that is your responsibility as a member of society, to take part in that, to make sure that it's your own work. But anyway, hopefully this gives you a clear-cut picture of the final assignments that are coming up in this class. So like I said, you can maximize the points that you earn.